My whole life is focused on keeping her as well as I possibly can. I've had to give up my film career.
Chuck Norris doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. He's a martial arts legend, an action star, and a man who built his career on discipline and respect.
A man did attack her in real life, and she did use that elbow strike and the strike, and she did get away.
For decades, he stayed quiet about the actors who disappointed him. But after 50 years in Hollywood, Chuck is finally ready to speak. Chuck didn't come from money or connections. He earned everything through hard work. He trained for years in martial arts. He competed in tournaments. He taught Steve McQueen karate before becoming an actor himself. Every punch he threw on screen was real. Every fight was choreographed with precision and respect for the craft. But Hollywood changed. Fake fighting replaced real martial arts. CGI replaced actual stunts. And actors who never trained a day in their lives started playing action heroes. Chuck watched it happen with growing frustration. He saw his art become a joke. He saw discipline replaced by special effects. These 10 actors represent everything Chuck believes went wrong. Some disrespected martial arts, some faked their skills. Some let fame destroy their character. And the number one name will shock you. So let's begin. 10. Steven Seagal. Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal should have been friends. Both were martial artists turned actors. Both made action movies in the same era.
But he's a wannabe that will never be, see, because guys with that attitude just don't make it.
But Chuck never respected Steven. And the reason is simple. Steven Seagal lies about everything. Steven claims to be a master of multiple martial arts. He says he trained with secret masters in Japan. He tells stories about working with the CIA. He brags about teaching Anderson Silva and other UFC fighters. But Chuck knows the truth. Most of it is made up. Chuck earned his black belts through years of legitimate training and competition. He fought in real tournaments against real opponents. Steven never competed. He just awarded himself titles and expected people to believe him. The breaking point came when Steven started claiming he could beat professional fighters. Chuck heard these claims and shook his head. Real martial artists don't need to brag. Their skills speak for themselves. Steven talked constantly because he had nothing real to show. According to people close to Chuck, he once said Steven gives martial arts a bad name. He makes it look like a con game instead of a legitimate discipline. 9. Jean-Claude Van Damme. Chuck Norris worked with Jean-Claude Van Damme briefly in the action movie world of the 80s and 90s.
With Van Damme, trained with me for a year and a half when he came over from Brussels, so I know him quite well.
Van Damme was younger, flashier, and more flexible. He could do splits and spinning kicks that looked amazing on camera. But Chuck saw past the flash to what was missing underneath. Van Damme's personal life was a disaster. Multiple marriages and divorces, public fights, drug problems that derailed his career, and constant drama that made him unreliable on film sets. Chuck believed your personal life reflects your discipline, and Van Damme had none. Chuck came from traditional martial arts where respect and self-control matter as much as physical skill. You don't air your problems in public. You don't let addiction control you. You handle your business quietly and with dignity. Van Damme did the opposite of all that. 8. Wesley Snipes. Chuck Norris respected Wesley Snipes as an action star.
Movies, his action is done close up. You really can't see. Everything is real quick cuts, so you don't get a chance to really see exactly what he's doing.
The Blade trilogy proved Wesley could carry a franchise. He had martial arts training and moved well on camera. But then Wesley made choices that destroyed Chuck's respect completely. Wesley went to prison for tax evasion. He failed to file tax returns for years and owed millions to the government. And instead of taking responsibility, he blamed everyone else. His accountants, his advisors, the government itself. He claimed he was being targeted and persecuted. Chuck believes in personal responsibility. You pay your taxes, you follow the law, You don't cheat the system and then play victim when you get caught. Wesley's excuses sounded weak and dishonest. But it wasn't just the crime, it was the attitude. Wesley behaved badly on movie sets after his legal troubles. He reportedly refused to open his eyes during scenes in Blade Trinity. He communicated through post-it notes. 7. Charlie Sheen. Chuck Norris and Charlie Sheen worked together briefly when both were part of the action movie world. Chuck saw potential in Charlie. Good timing, natural charisma, decent screen presence.
Greed is right. Greed works. Greed clarifies.
But Charlie chose a different path, one that Chuck found pathetic and disgraceful. The public meltdown destroyed any respect Chuck had left. The drug binges, the goddesses living in his house, the rants about tiger blood and winning, the complete implosion of his career and dignity. Chuck watched it all with disgust. Chuck comes from a generation that believed in self-discipline. You don't embarrass yourself publicly. You don't destroy your career with substance abuse. You certainly don't make your mental breakdown into entertainment for the masses. But that's exactly what Charlie did. 6. Will Smith. For years, Chuck Norris had no problem with Will Smith. Will seemed like a good guy, a talented actor who worked his way up from music to television to movies. He was charming, family-friendly, and successful.
Not this. I don't want you out here shooting this ball around all day and night, all right?
All right.
Okay?
Chuck respected that path. Then came the Oscar slap. Chris Rock made a joke about Jada Pinkett Smith. Will walked on stage during the live ceremony and slapped Chris across the face. Millions of people watched it happen, and Chuck's respect for Will died at that moment. Chuck has been disrespected before. People have insulted him, his family, and his skills, but he never resorted to violence outside of competition or self-defense. Real martial artists know when to fight and when to walk away. Will showed he didn't understand that basic principle. The slap was bad enough, but then Will refused to leave the ceremony after being asked. He stayed and accepted his Oscar. He gave a tearful speech trying to justify what he did. No real apology, just excuses about protecting his family. Chuck believes a real man protects his family with wisdom, not violence, especially not violence over a joke. 5. Alec Baldwin. Chuck Norris has handled real weapons on hundreds of film sets. He knows gun safety protocols inside and out. He's trained actors on proper weapon handling. He's worked with professional armorers who take safety seriously.
The lead you're given, you can't close shit. You are shit. Hit the bricks, pal, and beat it, because you are going out.
So when Alec Baldwin shot and killed cinematographer Helena Hutchins on the set of Rust, Chuck felt anger and frustration. Baldwin pointed a gun at another human being and pulled the trigger without checking if it was loaded. That's the most basic rule of gun safety. Always assume a weapon is loaded. Always check yourself. Never point a gun at anyone unless you intend to shoot them. But what made Chuck even angrier was Baldwin's response. Instead of taking full responsibility, Alec blamed everyone else. The armorer, the assistant director, the production company. He claimed he didn't pull the trigger, which experts later proved was false. He acted like a victim instead of owning his mistake. 4. Jussie Smollett. Chuck Norris can't stand liars, and Jussie Smollett told one of the most offensive lies Chuck has ever heard. Jussie claimed he was attacked by 2 men in Chicago who put a noose around his neck and yelled racist and homophobic slurs. The story dominated news coverage for weeks. Then the truth came out. Jussie hired 2 brothers to fake the attack. He paid them to stage the whole thing. He lied to the police. He lied to the media. He lied to his own colleagues and friends. And he did it for attention and sympathy. Chuck comes from a generation that faced real racism and real violence. He knows people who fought actual battles for civil rights. And Jussie took that struggle and used it as a prop for his career. That's not just dishonest, it's evil. 3. Ezra Miller. Chuck Norris believes fame comes with responsibility. When you're a public figure, especially one who plays heroes in movies, you have a duty to behave with some level of decency. Ezra Miller destroyed that concept completely. The list of allegations and arrests is shocking. Assault in Iceland, disorderly conduct in Hawaii, burglary charges, accusations of grooming minors, restraining orders, And through it all, Warner Brothers kept Ezra in the Flash movie because they'd already spent too much money. Chuck watched this situation unfold with complete disbelief. In his era, one scandal would end your career. Studios had morality clauses. You represented the industry, and you behaved accordingly. But Ezra kept getting chances despite increasingly disturbing behavior. What bothered Chuck most was the lack of accountability. Ezra used they, them pronouns and non-binary identity, and some people seemed afraid to criticize them properly. But crime is crime. Bad behavior is bad behavior. Your identity doesn't give you permission to hurt people. Chuck believes the industry failed by protecting Ezra. They should have cut ties immediately and sent a message. Instead, they enabled someone who clearly needed help and consequences. 2. Amber Heard. Chuck Norris has been married to the same woman since 1998. He believes in treating your partner with respect, loyalty, and honesty. So when the details of Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's relationship came out during their trial, Chuck sided firmly against Amber. The evidence showed Amber physically abused Johnny. She punched him. She threw bottles at him that severed his finger. She admitted on tape to hitting him and said nobody would believe he was a victim because he's a man. That last part made Chuck's blood boil. Chuck has trained thousands of students over his lifetime. He teaches them that martial arts are for self-defense only. You never use your skills to bully or abuse someone weaker, and you definitely don't mock victims for being victims. Amber did both, but she didn't stop at abuse. She falsely claimed Johnny abused her. She wrote an op-ed painting herself as a domestic violence survivor. She cost Johnny his career, his reputation, and millions of dollars. And she did it while knowing she was lying. The jury saw through her lies and ruled in Johnny's favor. But the damage was done, and Chuck believes Amber represents the worst kind of person in Hollywood. 1. Sean Penn. This is the name that makes Chuck Norris most angry. Sean Penn, the actor who plays tough guys in movies but whose real-life behavior reveals someone Chuck considers a fraud and a hypocrite. Sean talks about violence, justice, and revolution, but Chuck sees a man who doesn't live by any real code. Sean has multiple arrests for assault. He attacked a photographer. He was charged with felony domestic violence against Madonna, though she later said the press exaggerated it. He has a reputation for getting into fights and losing his temper. But instead of facing consequences, Hollywood calls him passionate and intense. Chuck finds this disgusting. Real fighters don't go around attacking people. They don't need to prove their toughness by hitting photographers or getting drunk and starting bar fights. Real martial artists have discipline and control. Sean has neither, but what really bothers Chuck is Sean's political activism combined with his violent behavior. Sean goes to war zones and meets with dictators. He writes articles about justice and human rights. He positions himself as a deep thinker and humanitarian. Meanwhile, he has a history of hurting people when he's angry. Chuck believes you can't preach peace while practicing violence. You can't talk about justice while assaulting people who work for gossip magazines. That's not activism, that's hypocrisy. And Sean Penn is the biggest hypocrite Chuck has encountered in Hollywood. Chuck Norris may be from a different era, but his message is clear. Hollywood lost its values. These 10 actors prove it. Do you agree with Chuck's list? Comment below and subscribe for more brutal Hollywood truths that nobody else will say.